Poker's legendary champions, next generation stars, and tireless ambassadors of the game, sharing their wisdom and guiding your journey to high achievement on the green felt. This is Tactical Tuesday on Chasing Poker Greatness with your hosts, Brad Wilson and Jon Chai.
Welcome, my friend, to another episode of the Chasing Poker Greatness podcast. As always, this is your host, the founder of ChasingPokerGreatness.com, Coach Brad Wilson, and I am joined by my co-host for Tactical Tuesday, Mr. Jonathan Chai. John, how you doing, sir?
Doing pretty good. Got a equity calculator or equity calc driven episode for the viewers today. We haven't done one of these in a while. The last one we did, I don't know if you remember, and I don't know if the viewers remember, was actually really, really funny, where I played a 3-bet pot button versus small blind with ace 4 of diamonds. Flopped the flush draw and just faced the jam on the flop for like 3x pot or something like that. And we had to bust out equilab for that. Maybe some similar spots coming up in this episode.
What was the conclusion last time?
I actually had enough equity to call with just the naked ace 4 of diamonds facing the jam range, and I actually did call in game because you're asking me to fold a flush draw on flop. If I didn't call,
sure.
Was just,
it's not me, by the way. It's not me asking. It's the math. The math is asking you to fold. Like, it's not like some like me that's saying, "Oh, fold." It's like, no, the math is pretty cut and dry when you dig into it. Right?
If I remember correctly, I needed like 44% equity to call, and I had like just over 44, like 44 and change, I think, after we did the equilab work.
Sure.
So it ended up working out, and I did end up making a flush versus overpair or something like that. So yeah, we're gonna do some similar work today to figure out if the calls or the folds that I made facing an all-in were good or bad.
All right, let's do it then. I presume you're going to be facing all-ins because that's the time where equilab comes into play, right? All right, so let's see if you can replicate the magic of your ace 4 of diamonds. Really, though, with it being 44% equity, it's like you could have taken either option because that was exactly what you needed, and it didn't really matter what you did. Hard to make a mistake there either way. So, I think in your case, just do the one that's better for your personal mental health, which is pretty much always just calling a flush draw.
Yeah.
So here, hand number 1 today in equilab land, there's a min open from the cutoff. John's playing 5-10. He 3-bets to $70 with the ace queen of clubs on the button. The small blind folds and the big blind cold 4s to 195 in the cutoff folds. And now, we're at this sort of beginning decision point here that is probably closer than it looks, but this is the stone bottom of your continue range. And I presume that you continue, seeing as would be a pretty sad episode if we just folded pre.
Yeah, this is definitely the stone bottom of my suited queen X continuing range. Probably would continue even as far down as the hand like ace jack suited. I think one thing that's sort of interesting about this hand is that all the sizes are a little bit smaller than normal because the cutoff starts with a 2x open instead of like a 2.2x or a 2.5x. So I 3-bet smaller to 70. The big blind 4-bets a little bit smaller, or cold 4 is a little smaller than usual to 195. I think even given the small sizings from the cutoff and the button, that this size is a little bit small, or like a little bit on the small side. So a hand like ace queen suited, I mean, I was going to call the normal size 4-bet anyways. I'm just extra happy that he's giving me a better price to peel in position.
All right. So you said ace jack suited is the bottom of your suited aces?
Yeah, I think so. Especially like cutoff versus button versus big blind, right? Like they're going to have the widest 4-betting range because cutoff versus button is like the widest 3-betting range. So,
button, small blind, big blind, but then you'd be out of position. So this is the loosest formation where you're in position and close the action, calling the 4-bet.
Don't show the c-bet size, by the way. Don't click forward here.
All right.
So this is the flop on a cold 4 pot. Jack 10-8.
Jack 10-8. So John has a double gut shot with 2 overcards. There's 415 in the pot.
I'm so excited at this. I don't know how the money's going in, but the money's all going in. Like, sure. This is probably one of the best flops that could have asked for, other than maybe a couple of clubs or something like that. So
or
I'm pretty
like
excited
ace
about
deuce deuce, right? Like that one feels a lot better than jack 10-8, but to each their own.
I got more excited about this one. I would get more excited about this one than the ace deuce deuce.
Yeah, John's enamored with possibility. You know, that's his. Oh, possibility! I can.
I have all these dreams, like all these dreams for this hand, how it's gonna go. And then the big blind c bets.
And standard expectation here would be a quarter.
Probably like a smaller size. I think maybe like sizing up to like half is okay, given that like, you know, it's a super dynamic board. He's out of position, but yeah, would expect to see quarter here most of the time.
And villain chooses to bet 1/4 of his stack as well as all the other quarters of his stack and just open rips for 9. It's basically 800. 415 in the middle. John has 805. This is a situation.
This is the situation.
Yeah, situation. You need, looking at my trusty Holdem manager, you're getting 1.5 to 1 on your money. And so you need 40% equity to call. And
can we get there?
Well, let's do our prediction, I guess, before we run into Ecolab. So essentially, let's think about like the bad scenarios, right? So like a set would be a bad scenario where you're going to have like 20-something% equity, something like
is
20,
a set
28.
The bad scenario?
I think so.
Oh,
what do you think's the bad scenario?
Kings.
Maybe. I mean, kings isn't great, but at least you know you have an ace, you have a king, and you have a 9.
Yeah,
like, that's pretty good. Yeah. Like, and kings can't boat up like a set. Yeah, you just like you lose a third of the time straight away because the board pairs, right? Like you just have like no. Even if you hit the turn, like the board can pair and you can still lose. Sure. Like kings, I guess like maybe the worst one might be ace king.
Ace king is pretty sad.
Ace king's pretty miserable because then your queen's dead, your ace is dead. You need a 9 essentially, so you got like a gut shot. So yeah, I guess ace king is probably the worst case scenario. Yeah. You'd much rather have aces than ace king. You'd much rather see aces than ace king here. So yeah, I think that.
Are there any hands that we're ahead of?
King queen suited.
King like ace 5 of hearts or something, maybe.
No.
Forget.
Come on, let's get out of here. Like there, I'm gonna go on a limb and say that you don't have enough equity to call. Like I just don't see enough good scenarios for you here. That's gonna prop you up to 40% equity. Like, all right. Yeah. So let's look at it. Let's go into Ecolab and sort of break it down. We have, voila! Look at this production magic here. We pulled up Ecolab for the podcast listener. Again, there's a 2x rip on the flop. Flop is jack 10-8. John has double gut shot, 2 overcards with ace queen, no backdoor flush draw, which would be helpful. not probably not a make or break type thing, but it would be helpful. Now we just start estimating villain's range and inputting it here, running the calculation and seeing if we have, or if John had, 40% plus equity here on the flop. So we'll start by just inputting our perception of villain's range. I'm going to put ace king in there and king queen suited. We'll put in there
aces, kings, queens.
Aces, kings, and queens. I mean, maybe jacks.
Let's give him one combo of a set. Maybe it's like tens or something.
All right, we'll say jack of clubs, jack of hearts. Just run this guy.
It's looking kind of bleak, but let's go for it. Yes. 40%.
Yeah, there's 3 good combos in here. 16 bad, 19 bad, 22 bad, 25 bad, 26 bad. All right. So in the bleak scenario, you've got 34.7% equity, which is not great. It's not 40. It's not even close. Do you want to?
How do we get this guy up to 40?
I don't know. Maybe we just.
It seems like we'd have to do some real.
Let's just add in all of king queen, right? Maybe all of king queen off and see.
That's
the one. That's how you get there, John. You're 44% if they have all of king queen off.
Even for a person as optimistic as myself, having full combo of king queen off in a cold 4-bet pot seems too optimistic.
Too optimistic, yes. But that's what you need, right? And essentially, like when we were doing our analysis before, and I was saying that like I can't really find many like great scenarios for us. Essentially, in a spot like this, that's what you're looking for, right? You're looking for the scenario where like you're actually just winning outright right now, right? Or you have like a flip type situation, like that would be decent, right? Like maybe like pocket nines, right? Like if villain has nines, you've got 34% equity, and actually it goes down a little bit if you add the nines. So nines isn't even, it goes down like
it's not
0.35. Yeah, it hurts. So yeah, you need like unpaired hands basically that you're beating. And on Jack 10-8 in a cold 4-bet pot, it is just incredibly difficult to find them. Especially no two-tone board. It's just full rainbow. Just for my own curiosity, if the 8 on the flop was a club, you would pick up close to an extra 3%, which is not insignificant, actually. Like that's a pretty significant jump. Just wanted to make that change just to kind of show the influence of like, if you did have a backdoor flush draw and it is really close, like that could turn the tide from fold to call. But I don't see anything turning the tide here. I just think it's pretty hopeless.
Yep. We only have 34% equity, which means we need something like 2-1 to make a break even call. Unfortunately, we're only getting about 1.5 to 1 because of the size of his jam.
Yep.
So unfortunately, we're just gonna have to fold the ace queen of clubs.
And let's see what happens over here. An ace queen of clubs land.
Did I actually fold?
Did he fold? He did. Look at him go.
Oh, the saddest fold of my life.
Yeah. Look at him go. What's villain have? I'm quite curious about that. And then they have the kings. It's a weird. I don't know. I don't even want to think about their jam. I don't think it's actually like the worst thing in the world for them to jam. No. But yeah, this is totally in their range, and good to see a hand that's in their range, right? Like seeing king queen off, you'd be like, like, made a couple.
This guy actually I think he just ran pretty poorly because a slightly more tilted version of myself, you probably would have just gotten the call with the ace queen.
Yeah. All he had to do is, cold 4-bet, 2 big blinds more pre-flop.
Yeah, a little bit bigger.
Just a little bit bigger. The pot's a little bit bigger, and you've got a little bit less behind, and then, then you may find the call on the flop.
That's interesting, actually. Now tying back the strength of his hand with the cold 4 size, like it's one of the things I said that, right? Even given the small open and the small 3-bet, his cold 4 I think is on the smaller side.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if he was like making an effort to like cold 4 slightly smaller, less than like $200 or something with his super strong hands for some like psychological effect or something like that. Because he made it 195, right? Which is,
I mean, it's not like obscene, right? Like 195, 19.5, 27, 19.5. That's like totally within the realm of standard. It's not unexpected.
Yeah, I'm just trying to read into the size in his hand too much.
Yeah. And of course, there's a spectrum of flops that he could get, and this one just decided to 2x rip, and I actually think it's pretty cool on villain's side to find these kind of decisions where they just like 2x rip the flop. It shows that they're doing some study in the lab and really thinking about these situations in depth. So good luck. Bad result for them, I guess, since you folded the ace queen. I wonder, I guess queens calls, right? Queens has to call because you have the gut shot.
Yeah.
So,
and they could still have ace king.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's an interesting thing, right? Where queens is going to call because it has the gut shot, but there's not many hands. Like ace queen suited is your best non-paired hand, and you had to fold it. And that's probably not great for villain if they're only generating calls versus queens, and then obviously the sets and the strong hands, and folding out like your unpaired, all of your unpaired hands.
Yeah.
So
it's called by queens, 3 combos of ace jack, probably.
Maybe nines probably calls if you have nines. Which I presume
You want to do
nines.
something? Sorry, I don't want to like make this last too long, but you want to just go back to that Equilab and put in ace jack and just see
how much better it is.
What the equity is, yeah.
Yeah, you'll definitely have more equity.
Okay, so it's like top pair, top kicker. Like that's a hand that kings benefits from jamming versus.
Sure. Top pair, top kicker. You've got 42.4% equity. And if you had nines, just for fun's sake, you've got 47.7. So like nines is a stronger hand than ace jack in this situation, because nines can beat pretty much anything the villain has. It's got a chance. It's got a little bit of hope. So long story short, it's really good to have a hand that has a pair and also has hope on the back end. And we talked about, briefly mentioned queens, and yeah, queens has 50.75% equity. So queens just becomes a slam dunk call. Cool. So with that said, we're going to move on to the second hand after the break, where we bust out ye old Equilab and do this old school. Stick around after the break.
Are you a lone wolf searching for the ultimate pack? The CPG Wolf program is a close-knit brotherhood hell-bent on one thing only: chasing poker greatness. Powered by bleeding-edge wolf strats and led by Coach Brad and his lieutenants, CPG Wolves are systematically prepared for almost any spot they'll encounter on the green felt. If you want to plug into an elite team and have a step-by-step game plan to realize your full poker potential, you can apply at cpgwolves.com. Space is limited, and the pack is only as strong as its weakest member. So only the hungriest, grittiest, and most driven will be accepted into the program. Applications are open at cpgwolves.com.
All right, welcome back from the break. Let's hope John's over his devastation of the most painful fold of his life, mixed with it also being the right fold, which is going to create some inner conflict that, you know, his therapist will hopefully help him resolve in the near future. But
you don't know if it was the right fold.
Like I said,
logic,
hey,
never make the right fold.
there you go. Like I said, this is for your therapist, not me. I don't want to talk about this. Hand number 2, it's going to be a spot that you can already see all the action if you're on YouTube. So a little bit of a spoiler alert. I forgot to rewind as I was inputting everything into Equilab. But John, you want to break down the action?
Yeah, so we're playing 500 zone this time. I have ace jack offsuit on the button, open to $15. Small blind folds, big blind. Don't know the player profile, but he 3-bets to $60. So sizing seems pretty good. He starts out with a little over 100 big blinds. So all signs so far point to a reg. I decide to get a little spicy with the ace jack offsuit. Yep. 4-bet to 120. Don't think this is, I don't know. I mean, this might look a little bit strange if you haven't spent a lot of time looking at like button versus big blind, kind of like your lower equity 4-bets, but ace 10 offsuit and ace jack offsuit are definitely going to get in there.
The primes, they're the prime contenders for the button 4-bet versus big blind 3-bet. And you 4-bet to 24 big blinds, you know, probably could have made it 110 or whatever too, would have been reasonable, but you make it 120. So again, 24 bigs. You started with just a full stack, so 100 bigs, and the big blind calls, and you get a good flop, relatively speaking, for 4-betting the ace jack off pre-flop. Jack.
This is the hand that I needed last hand, ace jack.
Yeah. Jack of diamonds, 6 of diamonds, 7 of spades. So congratulations. Your hand has been promoted from your low equity 4-bet to a high equity flop hand. So that's nice. Villain checks. I imagine that you're just going to be betting. I think there are multiple ways you could go. I imagine you'll bet a quarter, but I think you could go to like 40% or so. Also, would be reasonable. Or you could just go 20%. So smaller than normal. 242 in the pot. John bets 47.7. Again, John has ace jack. Flop is jack 6-7 with the jack 6 of diamonds, and villain calls. Turn is the 5 of spades, so completes 8-9. Other than that, I don't think it does very much. 8-9 suited might be in villain's range. Like, it's a hand that is 3-bet from the big blind and would call the pre-flop 4-bet, so it is there, as well as some other suited connector type hands. Maybe 5-6. Yeah, 5-6 would be 5-6 and 8-9 are the ones that really improve. Big blind checks. SPRs around 1. So there's 337 in the pot. John's got 332.
What do you think about sizing here? Because normally, all the people who have watched me play 4-bet pots on Tactical Tuesday can probably guess that my standard size on the turn is just going to be to either quarter pot or maybe even check sometimes.
Yeah.
On the super, super wet board, jack 6, 7, 5, double flush draw. Any thoughts about just jamming the turn?
Yeah. Lots of thoughts about jamming the turn. I think jamming is a totally reasonable decision on this board with this hand. Preferably, if we're going to jam, I would like to have queens more than ace jack, because you block top pair, which is bad. But double flush draw, 3 straight on the turn. There's going to be lots of rivers that you don't get to bet because the board's going to run out like a 4 straight or have some kind of like flush completer or overcard. So king, queen, king, a queen, a spade, a diamond,
8, 4, 9,
8, 4,
3.
9, 3. Yeah, lots of cards that are going to be problematic for you. So I mean, I think jamming would be totally reasonable with an SBR1, like just ripping the turn and calling it a day.
Yeah, that was the other option that I was considering. We wouldn't be in an Equilab episode though if I jam the turn. So I just go with the standard size here. I think jam is definitely maybe the preferred option on this board here. And it's not like we're only targeting draws, right? Like presumably the big blind still has hands like king jack suited in his range and maybe even like queen jack suited in their range.
Or nines, 8s.
Yeah, 9s, 8s. Yeah, hands I can call off.
Yeah, 7, 8. Like they have hands like combo draws that ace 5 of diamonds, right, or something like that, or 6. Oh, no, there's no
ace 4 of diamonds, ace 4 of spades, like
those hands. Yeah, they're backdoor flush draws at turn, flush draws. So you bet whatever this is.
Small again.
It's like less than a quarter.
It's 2020. It's 2020. 20 on the flop.
20. Exactly 20. All right. So exactly 20% on the turn. Setting up, guess what would be a half pot river jam. Yeah, I don't like this really. I think I just don't like this. I
agree. Upon second glance, I think I should have just gone with the jam.
Yeah, me too.
But it's okay because this happens.
Yeah. So now you get the situation where villain puts all the money in an aggressive fashion by check raising all in on the turn. I mean, is this even a question? Like, we're really going to go into Equilab to like run this? This seems like,
I don't know. What do you think their jamming range is here?
I have no idea, but I'm just calling. Like, I don't really. Is folding like an option? I don't.
We'll save you the sweat, I guess. I don't fold.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, well, why are we even? Because like, villain can just have like so many different hands that want to jam like the turn. They could jam king. They could jam king jack. Like they could jam worse for value.
Let's put it in.
All right.
We need 27% equity here because the pot is so big relative to the size of the jam.
Yeah, what a joke. Sorry, podcast listener and YouTube watcher. We're going in Equilab here to reach a foregone conclusion. What's their range? So I guess we'll say 7s.
I have no idea. I think that's like a worthwhile starting point to talk about.
Right. Which, all right. So Go ahead. What do you think their range is?
I guess the first thing to say is that like I didn't expect to get jammed on here all that often.
Sure.
So I wasn't really sure what to like how to construct like what their jamming range is. Like the sevens, like
don't know. I mean, we have to put in 8-9 suited in sevens. If we don't, then what's the point?
King Jack suited.
All right.
Ace Jack suited.
Hold on. Let me just like see. Oh, we're almost there with one King Jack suited. Great. We haven't even input any sort of combo draw.
Ace Jack.
Okay.
So all the combo draws you want to put them in there, like Ace 4 of diamonds. It's like Ace 4 of diamonds. Is that even in there? Because that
doesn't matter.
Raise the flop. Yeah. Ace 4 of spades.
Ace 4 of spades. We're there. We're home. If they have King Jack suited and Ace 4 of spades, we don't need to input anymore. But if you want to, Ace of diamonds, 4 of diamonds. All right, now we're beyond home. The more combo draws that we enter into the calculator, the better our equity is going to get. And we're already there by them just having 2 combos. I mean, really think about that. King Jack suited's in there, right? But there's only 2 combos left. The King Jack of clubs and the King Jack of hearts are the only 2. So like these 2 combos put us over the edge. Just those 2 by themselves.
So if we remove one of the combo draws, like the Ace 4 of diamonds, then we're right on the fence, right? We were breaking even by calling with our Ace Jack.
Yep.
This was like, first of all, I think this is like closer than I would have thought it is. Do you think they're like hands that we're like we should be like chunking in here that make this like the slam dunk call that you thought it was on the flop?
I don't know. I mean, like, you mean on the turn?
Oh, sorry, on the turn. Yeah.
I mean, the reality is that like it doesn't take much. We've added in like 3 combos of hands we beat, along with a couple combos of chops, and we're home. Assuming that they jam 8-9 and jam 7s and don't check raise the flop with 7s or 8-9 suited, right? So like any kind of Ace 8 of spades, Ace 8 of diamonds, King Queen of spades, Queen 10 of spades, like you're getting in the territory of like King Queen of diamonds, like the double backdoor flush draw, like the turn being the 5 of spades, just gives them so many more combos that they can find rips with that it doesn't take much for us to be home, and we're already home with just a few combos. So like, we gained 3% equity for, just adding in Ace of diamonds, 4 of diamonds, and then rerunning it. Now you're at 30.8. Say Ace of spades, 8 of spades, Ace of diamonds, 8 of diamonds. So 2 more combos. Now you're at 37% equity.
Ace 8 offsuit for Ace of spades, 8 of diamonds.
Huh?
You have Ace of spades, 8 of diamonds. The last one.
Whatever.
But I don't think the Ace 8 should be in there anyways, because those are just not. They're not 3-bets, and I don't think those are 3-bet calls.
That's the point is not whether or not the hand is in there. The point is like the difficulty level. Like, okay, so 9 of
I'm getting there.
We'll say 9 of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, 9 of spades, 10 of spades. These hands probably are going to be in there. So now you're at 37% equity. Like we just keep like going. Aces. It's just going to get better.
Yeah, throw in like aces, like a trap.
All right, 1 trap. Now you're at 31. Like it's going to have a negative effect. Again, I think the takeaway for the listener is just that it's really calling is the safe decision, right? Like you don't need many combos of flush draws, combo draws, or worse hands to reach 27% equity here. You just need a couple, 3 or 4. So yeah, it's bad if villain, you're making a losing call if villain is never bluffing here. They never have any low equity hands, but you're playing against at the aggregate. So you're playing against a strategy of a bunch of different players. And I know there are a bunch of players who will jam those combo draws. And so like, yeah, you just can't fold.
What happens when we start? Excuse me. What happens when we start adding in hands like the one the big blind actually has?
I don't know. Well, we don't know what the big blind actually has. So
let's find out.
Let's find out. So John calls. John calls a jam again. He has ace jack. Flop is 5, 6, 7 jack with jack 6 of diamonds and the 5, 7 of spades. River is the 4 straight, so the tray of hearts. And villain has 2 9s, which again, it's like gravy, right? Like they have like some of these like pair plus draw mergey type jams, and we'll just hop back in Equilab and add this into the fray.
9s and 8s.
9, 9, 8, 8, and you're a favorite. They place a value bet for you at this point. And let's just take out these combo draws. Let's take out King Jack suited. So now you're either losing
or winning.
Aces, chopping here, drawing dead versus 8, 9 suited, drawing dead versus a set of 7s, and then beating 8s and 9s, and voila, you've got 45% equity. Like it doesn't take much unexpected noise to make the spot absurdly not close anymore. And that to me is like the real moral of the story here. Like the safe thing to do is just call, because when villain has 9s and you fold, that is a punt to the moon. Like that is just a horrible, horrible, horrible punt. So
yeah. It's interesting doing the calc now, because I'll admit, like when I got jammed on the turn, like I said, I wasn't expecting it. So calling did not feel great when I c-bet flop, c-bet turn, and then got jammed on. Like you said it's the safe thing to do, but when I got jammed on, I wasn't like, oh, nice. But
that's kind of weird though, right? Like that's kind of a weird. Yeah, it surprises me actually. You almost made it through. You almost made it through the episode without incident, and then right at the end, you just hung yourself here.
I don't think I expected them to have like ace 4 of diamonds and stuff like that. I thought those hands would just like check raise the flop. Maybe ace 4 of spades. Okay, like we can get in there and stuff. But I thought the diamond hands, a lot of the combo draws that we were maybe thinking that they have, like the king queen of diamonds, those sorts of hands, just check raise the flop. And again, I didn't know what a hand like ace jack or king jack would do on the turn. I think when we like talked about me just jamming as the turn c-bet size, like it makes a little bit more sense that like a hand like ace jack or king jack would jam over my turn c-bet. I think like in that framework, just given like how dynamic the board is, how like I can have lots of hands with like tons of equity that can call off that are worse than ace jack and king jack. So
I mean, 9s will probably call all in anyway, like facing your turn jam. Yeah, with your ace jack.
9s and 8s probably call. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, again, this was as soon as I saw like the turn decision, it was like, bro, like this is what a waste of energy.
It wasn't as obvious to me. Maybe it wasn't as obvious to other people too.
We'll see. We'll let the feedback roll in, and we'll see afterwards.
Everyone just ask for their 10 minutes back in the comment section.
Yeah, or just tell John thank you for bringing this hand up and doing the equity calculation so that we could see that it actually is a call and is a pretty slam dunk call at that.
They won't pull top pair top kicker in a 4-bet pot.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. I don't have anything else for this week on Tactical Tuesday.
So see you next week.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to Chasing Poker Greatness. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Go to chasingpokergreatness.com to get the newsletter. Join the Greatness Village community, book a coaching session, or dive into the latest data-driven poker courses. Follow the show on Twitter @CPG Podcast.